Alright, welcome class. This is week 28 homework solution. This is Tuesday, March 12th. This asks us to simplify all these radicals. Okay, it's radicals because it has those symbols. Okay, now normally we could just look and see if they're perfect squares, right? Perfect squares would be 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on and so on. But these do not look like perfect squares. Some of them might. Okay, but we'll see. We still have to simplify. Okay, so to simplify it, we have to break it down using its factors, making sure one of them is a perfect square. What do I mean? Let's take a look. Alright, so number one, we have the square root of 18. What are the perfect squares that make up 18? Okay, is there a 1 in it? Of course there's always a 1. Is there a 4 in this? Alright, 4 times what gets you 18? 9 times anything? Looks like it's 9 times 2. Okay, 18 can be broke down by 9 times 2. 9 times 2 equals to 18. Okay, so it's radical 9 times 2. Split the radical, so it's radical 9 times radical 2. You're allowed to do that. What is the square root of 9? The square root of 9 becomes plus or minus 3. Anything happen to the square root 2? Nothing. And again, combine them back. You get plus or minus 3 radical 2. You simplify this expression because it is no longer a radical 18. It goes down to a small value of radical 2. And there's also a 3 that's in front. Alright. Next, what is the square root of 125? This does not look perfect. So we look through our perfect square list. Is there 1, 9, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25? It ends in a 5. So let's try 25. Looks like it is 25 times 5. 25 times 5 is 125. What is the square root of 25 times 5? We split those. Radical 25 times radical 5. What happens to the radical 25? Becomes plus or minus 5. Anything happens to the radical 5 on the right hand side? No. Alright? The radical 25 becomes the 5. The radical 5 becomes the 5. So you get 5 square root 5. Next, 3 and 4. 3 is the square root of 72. Alright, what makes that? Is there a 1 in it? Yes, there is. 4, looks like it, but let's see if we could go higher. 9, yes. 9 times 7 gets you 72. Square root of 9 times 72, we split those apart, get you square root 9 times square root 7. What is the square root of 9? Plus or minus 3. Anything happen to the square root 7? No, so we leave that alone. Combine them back, you get plus or minus 3 radical 7. Next one, we get the square root of 180, right? It looks like the largest square root here would be 36 times 5. Okay, 36 times 5 is 180. Okay, what is the square? So we split those. Ooh, this is wrong. This is wrong. That should be 360. 36. Sorry about that. Okay. Square root of 36. You split this apart. Now, the square root of 36 becomes plus or minus 6. Nothing happens to the square root of 5. It just becomes square root of 5. Combine them back. Plus or minus 6 square root 5 would be your answer. Number 5. Square root 64. Okay. Ooh, this actually looks perfect. But I'm going to show you, because 8 times 8 gets you 64. Okay. But I'm going to split it using some perfect squares. I know that it is 4 times 16 gets a square root of 64. Split those. Square root of 4 times square root of 16. What is the square root of 4? 2. What is the square root of 16? 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Let's do 6. Square root of 18 is split with, I think, a 9 and a 2. Correct. 9 times 2 is 18. Right? What is the square root of 9 times the square root of 2? Because you have to split those apart. Square root of 9 is plus or minus 3. The square root of 2 is just 2. Combine them back, you get 3 radical 2. This was the same answer as, I think, the first or second question. Last two, 7 and 8. 400. Right? When you get very large numbers and when you see a lot of zeros, always try and use the number 100. Here I saw that it's 4 times 100. So it is radical 4 times 100. Right? Split the radical into two parts. So radical 4 times radical 100. Radical 4 is plus or minus 2. Radical 100 is 10. Combine them, it is plus or minus 20. So if you do 20 times 20, you get 400. Next one, square root of 80. What are the two factors? I think it's what, 8 and 10? No, 16 and 5. Because 8 isn't perfect, 10 isn't perfect either. Alright, 16 times 5 gets you your 80. Okay, square root of 16 times square root of 5. Square root of 16 becomes 4, and the square root of 5 is there. Nothing happens to that. Combine them back, you get 4 radical or square root 5. So there you go. Those are all your solutions for your homework.